When we eat fruit, we will more and more notice how sweet that divine dance can be. The sacred perfection of nature shows us the yogic path is not just about dancing and eating bananas. It is about staying centered in the eye of the storm.
Action!
Are you ready to take your yogic journey to the next level? If you wanna practice yoga like a professional, like a dedicated yogini, then I have good news for you. You can practice asanas perfectly, maybe even the dancer's pose, which is known as Lord of the Dance, Nataraj asana, which is actually this statue here. We will talk in a moment more about Shiva Nataraja, the Lord of the Dance. You might be able to practice the dancer's pose perfectly. But if you don't master the yoga in daily life, it is not really a full-fledged yogic expression. Because as yogis and yoginis, we aspire to embody this ancient wisdom not only on the mat, but also off the mat. To practice the yoga in daily life is a crucial element of the yogic path. Frequently, people reduce yoga to asana. We go to a yoga studio, we take a yoga class, and then we assume that yoga and the postures known as asana are one and the same. That yoga means asana. No, as many of you also might know, yoga means union. The unification, the unity of body, mind, and soul or spirit. And we don't really know what soul and spirit means exactly, but the union, the balance, the yoking together the different ingredients of life, integrating the different parts. And that is the theme not only of this podcast, but of this podcast series. The theme of this month in the Akasha Yoga Academy is integration. So we aspire to integrate yoga in daily life. And this Spirit of Yoga podcast episode series is dedicated to this heartfelt embodiment of yoga, to the living wisdom, this wisdom in motion as it flows through every movement of the yogini's life. And as mentioned, the statue of Shiva Nataraja is a way of that embodiment. It symbolizes the connection between heaven and earth. This sacred dance of Nataraja, the dance lord. Nata means dance, Raja means royal. The symbol of Nataraja, of this royal dance, is to combine the heavens, meaning the transcendent world of nirvana, to combine and integrate nirvana and samsara, the transcendent world beyond and the immanent world down on earth. So embodying the divine values in our life and connecting, bridging in this fiery dance. These are actually symbolizing flames here. In this fiery, intense dance, we need to balance, like in the dancer's pose, on one leg, standing on one leg, The multiple arms can be seen as an expression. The arms in different position. It's a moving pose. In the statue, we express that it's not just a static sitting fixed, but it's a flow. There's a dance. The arms are in different positions. It's a sacred dance of unity in diversity. Finding the oneness in the duality and multiplicity of life. Discovering the sacred beauty in manifestation. And this is actually what I have here behind me, the perfection of nature. Maybe you can see between my body and Shiva Nataraja the banana bunch, which here in the lush, abundant tropical surroundings of Bali, it's just growing randomly in our garden. Some 5 meters, 15 feet above the ground where our deck is hovering here, the fruition of the fertile volcanic soil is bringing about these wonderful bananas. And they're not decoration, they're just growing them. I'm looking forward to harvest them rather sooner than later and eat them once they turn from green to yellow. And then when we eat fruit, we will more and more notice how sweet that divine dance can be. How the sacred perfection of nature shows us this divine alignment, this balance, not only between heaven and earth, but also between all the other ingredients on earth. Because in this dance of embodiment, we can be confronted with various challenges. And in my 27 years of exploring the art of living, I definitely had my fair share of challenges. And not just in the past, but still get served a plate of challenges each and every day. So it's not always easy to stay balanced. The yogic path is not just about dancing and eating bananas. It is about staying centered in the eye of the storm. Integrating yoga in daily life, among many other things, means to cultivate this stable awareness, to be balanced, grounded, standing with both feet firmly rooted on the ground, while at the same time being with a head up in the clouds. But both, integrating both elements, not just head up in the clouds, being a lunatic, up in the moons, not just disconnected and fluffy, not just an alternative woo-woo hippie, having altered states of consciousness while being connected and embodied and staying down to earth in these mundane life circumstances. So, both feet rooted firmly in the ground, in Mother Earth. Pachamama is the Latin American term for it. Prithvi Tattva is the Indian word for the earth element. In Bali here, called Ibu Prithvi. Ibu means mother, earth. So this embodied, down to earth aspect of the spiritual life, sometimes also called with the headline of Gaia, the fertile, nourishing, nurturing, feminine force. So being connected with both feet on the ground, hopefully you sometimes walk barefooted, at least in the summer season, to connect to Mother Earth directly to these telluric energies, these earth energies, get nurtured and nourished with this fundamental vitality, this life force coming from the planet which carries us, nourishes us. So, with both feet rooted in the ground, yet not stuck and heavy, counterbalancing that earthiness with the lightness, the clarity, the uplifting, subtle beauty of elevated and altered states of consciousness. So going beyond the limitations of manifestation, going beyond all this heavy, contracted, limited, and in a way physical aspect of reality, and becoming more subtle, more refined, elevating our state of being, and knowing in meditations as well as energy practices to raise the energy, sublimating, bringing the energies from the lower to the higher chakras, and connecting to the refined and subtle and celestial realms of being. And going even beyond any energy into the purity and stillness of pure existence, transcending all duality, overcoming any need to integrate this and that, and reside in absorption, resting in stillness, beyond body and mind, even beyond the duality of heaven and earth. Just being radically present wherever we're at. Whatever dance might be unfolding through this body, whatever energy might be flowing in this being, whatever altered state or lower state might arise, being radically present and aware of whatever arises. That is the state of yogic awakening, where we go far beyond stretching our hamstrings. Even though an agile and flexible body helps us in this divine dance. So there's neither good nor bad. They're just different types of practices giving us different results. So we'll continue in these episodes of our podcast series to explore the integration between the formal practice on the mat and the yoga in daily life, taking the practice off the mat into our daily life circumstances. Cultivating mindfulness and peacefulness on the mat and in daily life. In our previous episode, we explored exactly that element of peacefulness, of non-violence, the first of the virtues and ethics as they are presented by Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras around 2000 years ago, emphasizing the priority, the utmost importance of peace. And I invited you there to more regularly slow down and to rest for a moment and to allow yourself to savor the beauty of this present moment, like this cup of tea. And to then take a deep breath. And after this micro break, continue the flow through your day. As we continue the flow through this conversation, this exploration of the yoga in daily life. So things continue to move through us while we occasionally pause and observe and reconnect to the source. Take a deep breath and open ourselves to the beauty of the heart and receive the gifts and presence of this moment. And we can move fast, as we discussed in our previous episode. We can move fast, but preferably without rushing. So, peacefulness is at the foundation. Truthfulness, being true to ourselves, having this sincerity, is another fundamental ingredient. Both of them, peace and truth, are fundamentally connected, and as mentioned, both are the best. Both have the highest priority. Both peace and truth are having the utmost importance and therefore receive the utmost reverence in ancient scriptures, in the life of yogic masters, of spiritual heroes. Look, for example, at the life of Mahatma Gandhi. He's famous for the non-violent revolution in India, peaceful overcoming of the British colonial rulership. He's known as the hero of non-violent change. So famous for that. One of the archetype heroes of non-violence. Yet, surprisingly, Mahatma Gandhi leaves two very clear signs that truth in his own life was even more important to him. Check it out. He called his followers, his disciples, satyagrahis. Satya is the Sanskrit word for truth, those who are following the truth. Not a coincidence that he chose this name. In his autobiography, when he wrote down his own life story, he gave the subtitle, "The Story of My Experiments with Truth." Gandhi gave that as the subtitle to his own autobiography. Interesting enough, this mind-blowing book of the life of Gandhi is actually a collection, a biographical sharing of anecdotes in which he is admitting and confessing all the moments throughout his life where he did not manage to be truthful, where he was lacking the sincerity and integrity. And in an incomprehensible way, being such a celebrated hero on the Indian subcontinent, maybe one of the most impactful, famous, and influential beings of the Indian subcontinent in the last 100 years, now on each and every bill, money note, his face. He chose his autobiography to be kind of like a scandal revealing book. Before other people after me will claim and will discover that I did this and that wrong and that I wasn't truthful here and that I said a lie there, let me clean it up myself before I die. Let me be honest about all the moments in my life where I was not honest. In a shocking way. Many of the stories he tells are a bit small and we're kind of like, yeah, I mean, not a big deal from our perspective. No, but for him in his childhood and youth, these were difficult, challenging moments where he wasn't perfectly truthful to his mother. But then later on in his life and in his autobiography, he reveals quite scandalous stories about himself. He's very sincere, very candid and upfront and honest in his exposing of the truth of his imperfection. This requires a tremendous amount of courage, trust, and surrender. And is in a way the utmost sincerity to set the record straight. So, what we can see that for Gandhi, peacefulness, yes, was definitely of utmost importance. Otherwise, he would have not become so famous around the world as the non-violent leader that he was, bringing this peaceful revolution and liberation of the Indian people. The power of peace. Yet, I hope the story of his experiments with truth, this introduction to his autobiography, I hope help you to see that for Gandhi, both peace and truth were of utmost importance. Both are the best. Both are fundamental ingredients of yogic virtues and ethics. And that is why in many lists of these virtues and ethics, yamas and niyamas, in many of the ancient scriptures, we very frequently find those two listed as the first two, peacefulness and truthfulness, ahimsa and satyam. So the question is how we can take that into our own daily life, what we can learn from this radical experiments by sages like Gandhi. How can I apply at least a fraction of that in my daily life? How can I be more truthful to myself, more aligned, have more sincerity in the priorities that I give to the things which really matter? How can I be more truthful, more candid, more pure and sincere? I wonder, how can I fine-tune, upgrade, polish my integrity at least a little bit, every day a little bit, more truthful? In my conversations, when connecting to other people, can I show up more clearly, more honestly? And if no, what is holding me back? Let's understand the obstacles. Let's see these hindrances, these false excuses, these tendencies to hide, sneak around, avoid, not face and confront, to sneak kind of our way out of it with some shortcuts and fake excuses. Maybe with good intention, by wanting to be more peaceful, not wanting to offend and hurt anybody. Fair enough. Because we need to counterbalance truthfulness with peacefulness. as we explored in our previous episode, the peacefulness, the non-violence. On the yoga mat, being compassionate and gentle with our body, but also in daily life, in the communication, in our relation. Can we practice non-violent communication? Either following the formal principles given by Marshall B. Rosenberg, or taking his non-violent communication more generally into the compassionate communication. With compassionate understanding, holding space for myself, and in a peaceful attitude, holding space for others. While at the same time being truthful and sincere. How to counterbalance between those two? Because the truth can be a double-edged sword. Yes, it cuts through all the BS and straightens things out, but it can also be painful. It's a double-edged sword. For me, that balance is summarized in the following statement. Any truth spoken from the heart will open others in love and connection. So speak the truth, but in a soft, gentle, kind and peaceful way. Speak the truth from the heart. And even though in some ways that truth might be sharp and painful, if you sincerely come with that compassionate attitude from the heart, then it will open others in love and connection. Maybe in the first moment they cannot take it, and you better choose a right moment that it's a bit easier for them to take it, not in front of other people, but in a candid, quiet moment, you peacefully and humbly express that truth in a heartfelt and compassionate way. And still they might get defensive and trying to avoid, justify. Yet we hope and trust that they can feel our sincere intention and will receive this sharing of wisdom, of heartfelt friendship and connection in a peaceful way. So combining peace and truth is, in a way, the highest art. It's already impossibly difficult to be perfectly peaceful, and it's impossibly difficult to be perfectly truthful. To combine both is superhuman. Yet any step we make in that direction towards a bit more peacefulness and towards a bit more truthfulness and towards some harmonious balance between peace and truth, any step we make in that direction is worth gold. Any little awareness we at least bring to the topic. We might not even be able to change our actions, but at least we become more aware of the consequences of our deeds. And we trust that this process of purification, of harmonizing of our thoughts, speech, and action will yield fruits. And in this joyful journey, which is full of challenges, we grow and mature and become more wise on every step, knowing that we can grow with the challenges, hold space in more demanding and impossibly difficult circumstances. And we trust that there's hope for a peaceful and truthful way of living as a yogini on this planet. So after this more general sharing about the art of living, I would like to take another few moments to share with you some personal challenges, difficulties, and ways of how I deal with such topics in my life. And to be, first of all, completely honest, I don't even know what I'm going to share next. Luckily, I didn't prepare any of this. So it can come through more candidly, more purely. Which is only appropriate because you took more than half an hour of your daily life to explore together this topic so that we can meet as friends, connect from heart to heart, and look together at these difficulties of how to live a perfectly peaceful and truthful life. I mentioned already in a previous context that I tend to move quite fast through life. Yet I aspire to not rush. So moving swiftly without contraction, pushiness, anger. So driving here in Bali on a motorbike is a quite different experience than traffic in a Western country. In Bali, the local people don't really have any road rage. It doesn't really exist in the local culture. They have road smiles. When something almost goes wrong, somebody cuts a corner, it's like just smiling. Yet Westerners like me come with a faster paced way of driving and moving through traffic. After living for almost 20 years in Asia, I don't have any road rage anymore. That got purified and harmonized a long time ago, being surrounded by these peaceful people. So no more road rage, but road rush I still occasionally get. So in any case, I drive fast. And I definitely take risks for my own well-being. And to be honest, it does imply also occasional risks for other members of traffic. Luckily, I didn't injure anybody yet, but the way I'm driving, I need to acknowledge that I do take risks for other people. The driving fast might go together with an increased risk of accidents for others. So that is not direct violence, but indirectly potential violence, taking risks that if somebody comes out from the side and I drive too fast, it's increasing the risk of an accident that I might hurt somebody with more likelihood because I'm driving so fast. And then, as mentioned, I move fast, but I don't rush in most cases. So sometimes when I need to come in time for an appointment, then again, I don't get road rage. I don't really get frustrated, but I definitely start occasionally rushing and get kind of too pushy in trying to get through. And in Asia, traffic is generally a lot more outlawed, more beyond any rules than we know it in the West. So it's a normal given situation that scooters and bikes are like driving left and right of the cars all over. But I definitely need to acknowledge that I tend to be one of the pushy members of traffic and drive on the sidewalks and like full momentum. So at times there can be also a rush. And I was quoting the other day Rising Appalachia, famous US folk band. Wise men say that rushing is violence. So I would say 80% of the time I move fast without rushing, but 20% of the time I am more or less pushy, efforting, almost violently rushing. It's of course many shades of gray in that how rushed we are. So this is something I'm definitely still working on and on a daily basis confronting my limitations and my habitual shortcomings, my patterns, my German ambitiousness. I'm facing very regularly in these peaceful Asian surroundings. The contrast can be quite stark. The patience and serenity of the locals contrasts quite sharply with my alpha, first, fast, efficient German mindset. So that's a daily possibility for me for learning. And paradoxically, that happens when I, for example, drive to some dance events. Not just asana classes with dancer pose, Nataraja asana, but sugar sweet, not banana dances, but for example, ecstatic dance events or contact improvisation dance events, where I practice a lot of meditation in motion in the formal practice of this dance. Yet in the informal yogic daily life of moving to the dance, I want to come in time and then drive too quickly. And I rush to this meditation in motion to arrive quickly to this peaceful, soft gathering of a contact dance. So this contrast in my life is frequently very apparent. I tend to be very extreme in my personality, going very strong in this direction of a lot of dance and flow and enjoyment in our alternative tropical community, going very strong into that, but going very strong on the bike to get there and nudging and efforting my way through the traffic jams. So that a little behind the scene sharing, a tiny exposing of something small. I'm not Mahatma Gandhi. I don't share yet my biggest life secrets and shortcomings in this public platform, but I'm aspiring to move in the Gandhi direction, and I'm very much looking forward to future episodes where step by step I try to hedge open, come out of this protected, immaculate yogic life shell here in our tropical yoga egg and be even more transparent and candid in these podcast sharings. So thank you so much for your dedication, your sincerity of showing up to the yoga in daily life, of watching this long podcast episode, listening to it all the way to the end. I truly appreciate your dedication, and I'm so thankful that we're together on this journey. And I encourage you to stay in touch. So thank you so much. And I appreciate that we can flow together in this wisdom in motion. And I'm looking forward to the next episode of the Spirit of Yoga podcast. Thank you so much, and see you very soon for the next exploration of yogic living with integrity. Namaste.